Later will lead us in the pledge, and I'll say the blessing. If you would, please stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for all that you do. Lord, just ask that you be with each and every person here and their families. Be with us as we conduct the county's business. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, first of all, I'd like to thank Commissioner Slater for subbing in for me last month on the Finance Committee. Thank you. Going to our agenda. And we welcome everybody, and we'll go to the mayor. Mayor Davis, you are recognized for as much time as you need.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing to report other than the credit card report, and you all have hard copies of that in front of you, so nothing else.
So let's take a look at that real quick. The mayor's provided us a hard copy here, and in the assessor's office, there's some, I guess, some transactions that we need to perhaps look at and might have to ask, if I understand this correctly. One restaurant receipt was not detailed. No hotel receipt. There's a note saying that it's for a hotel stay in December. Credit card used locally at a car wash. And 2 restaurant receipts were not detailed. Without knowing everything about this, I'll reach out to the assessor and ask him to give a little bit more explanation, and we'll just take it from there, because that's the will of the committee. Because right now we don't know enough to know. So Laura, if you would help me out, and we'll send a email over to the assessor and just ask for some explanations on those. I think those are the only ones that were marked. There's, I guess, EMA, just to be thorough, card used at a local UPS store. We'll do the same for that, just to be fair, right? Is that okay with everybody on finance, that we go that course of action? Chairman Cry, please.
When we go back to the assessor of property, this is not good at all when you start going to restaurants and don't identify it. I first got elected, had experience with people eating free meals off the county. We might want to ask them to clarify in detail if we could.
That's exactly what we're going to do. Without knowing any more than just that, we'll just ask him to elaborate and explain a little bit more.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Anything else? All right. Going to back to our agenda, going to the budget amendments. First one is the finance. As we scroll, and they're decreasing the fund balance, undesignated fund balance, which is $49,872, and then moving it into 513, and this is in personnel. 2 purchase orders that were open to cover the cost of workers' compensation audit were closed by mistake. The audit is complete and needs to be paid. And there you see the supporting documentation. And that's all there is to that one. Mayor, I think I understand what happens. It's not so much by mistake. From what I understand, what happens with purchase orders is your department sends out a list of purchase orders that are a certain date and asks for a response. And if they don't respond, you take action, or you do what the letter says. So it's not so much a mistake. It's just that the communication back is not happening. Is that, because it's not a mistake?
In this case, it really wasn't. But the bottom line is the POs were killed. They went into fund balance, and so now we're needing to bring them out to pay the bill.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing on the next one, except fire fund.
Basically, they had the money. they closed the purchase order, money went back into the quote-unquote budget, and now they're bringing it back out to the expense line so they can pay the bill. Commissioner Slater, please.
So both of these POs are from 2021. Would that be correct? And why would it not have been caught before now if the POs were from 2021?
They're POs that we were aware of, but at the time before the employee left employment with the office, she killed the POs. So bottom line is we need to bring them back out now and use them. Those POs, that date that you're questioning is kept there for, see, at the end, you have an audit on workers' comp, and it's there in case the audit says you owe more. And this particular year, it wasn't left there, so that's why we ask you to take action to bring it back out.
And this is to fund the workers' comp fund. This was not to pay for the audit?
No, what they do is they do an audit of workers' comp based on most prevailing, most recent salaries, and a lot of times it's more than originally. So the audit's just saying, here's the actual amount you owe. And every year it's always different because raises and stuff go into effect and so forth. And workers' comp's based on salaries. Is that fairly close to accurate, Susan? I'm not used to explaining that, but
Yeah, so this was almost $100,000, correct?
yeah, it's 50 and 30 something, right, for the two funds. You're right.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Passes 4-0, one absent. Moving on to the next amendment, and we kind of just talked about it. Same concept, moving out of the fund balance, but it's in the fire fund, which is obviously Fund 121. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? A motion from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4-0, one absent. Moving on to the next budget amendment. There you have your supporting documentation. Medical examiner, he's decreasing the expenses and it's staying in the same account. 340 autopsy and moving it over to staff development. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Mason. I have a second from Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4 and one absent. Yeah.
Sorry. The next one, if you would just pull it,
The 4,000.
the 4,000.
All right, we're gonna pull do you want to roll it or just pull it for good?
I suggest to pull it because we'll do it toward the end of the year. She thought she had additional revenue there, but it's not long enough in the year to show additional revenue, so I told her to wait until closer to the budget
Very
year.
good. We'll pull number and move to amendment on page 9. It's written at the top. Bradley County Parks and Recreation. I always say that wrong. Sorry. Good old Southern boy. 1,500. He is increasing his revenue and increasing fund balance. Right? How do you do that? So he's just putting the money in there. He's not going to spend it. You don't want to put it in the expense line? So that's a typo then.
Yeah, the second one shouldn't have fund balance there. It should have the
I was
recreation
gonna say, you
budget
don't,
expense.
if you increase your fund balance, that's on the revenue side.
Right. So you increase the fund
So where it
balance.
says fund balance, that's going to be an expense because
Right.
499 is on the expense side.
I didn't catch that one, sorry.
All right. So we'll make that correction there. But it's basically money coming in. It's a donation, and we always appreciate donations. So do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4 with one absent. All right. Planning and inspections. They are decreasing the fund balance of 7,500, and they want to move it into motor vehicle. These funds were budgeted previously and had a purchase order signed, but the PO was closed by mistake, and request these funds be added to the funds to purchase another vehicle for this department.
if I could add to,
Mayor,
if I
okay.
could add to that, the next one goes along with it. They've also sold the vehicle and increasing revenue, putting it into the same line. So when you put the two together, that gives them $9,100 to buy the vehicle with.
Okay, my position is I have no problem purchasing the vehicle, none whatsoever. But I would like to use art money before I use fund balance.
Well, they actually have the money, is what I'm saying. They sold the vehicle and got some, and then, yeah, it would have gone into fund balance. You're right. But from their point of view, I'm just saying based on
Yeah,
the request from their point of
the
view, I
purchase of that
have,
vehicle is not in question. It's just how we fund it. If we could save the in here, because we just got the report of from the art money is I think it's doing very well with the interest. I would like to use it if it's. I know it's maybe a pain from the paperwork side, but use their money instead of ours. I've said that. It's just an idea.
that's up to you.
I mean, would it cause? It wouldn't cause any delays. I don't think.
No,
No. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Use the art money instead of using our fund balance, and that way you keep the fund balance just a tad bit higher than it is. But if we want to just go with what this amendment says, we can. And not deplete, but use the fund balance. Thoughts? Open floor. It is just an idea. Okay, we'll go. Commissioner Offer.
I guess you mentioned it a while ago. How much trouble would it be, Mayor, to use art money? Would it be a big problem, or?
no, it wouldn't. I mean, what we would be technically doing is pulling these two and telling him to apply for art money. And now,
He doesn't have to apply.
well, I mean, he would have to request it because it's not budgeted. And then I would get it put into the plan and get that approved, and we would have to amend the art budget at that
So
point.
is it worth the amount of money that he's pulling out of the fund balance to save that? I mean, you agree it would save some money in
It-
our fund balance,
Yeah, it would save the $9,100 from your.
and he gets to. I mean, he can use it for something else. I mean, he's not going to be taken out of his account because it was.
Well,
his
it's
vehicle
not
that-
in his budget. None of this is right now. It goes, part of it went to the fund balance, the other went as additional revenue when he sold it. So he doesn't have access to it. If you pull it, he won't have access to that, and that's fine. But you're doing it with the understanding that he's gonna request it from the art fund.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I'll be happy to make that motion that we go ahead and approve that with art money now if you need that
well, I
kind
would
of
need to do an
confidence.
amendment, and I don't have it prepared, but I'd need to do an amendment, moving money from the fund balance of the art fund to a certain line to spend. But we can do that next month if that's the way you want to do it. That's up to you.
I just want to be, if we can use art money from here till August when we have to have everything spent, that's what I'd like to do because it saves money. We've done it with your printers in your office. That was a good thing. We've done it with a few other vehicles, so I know it's qualified. So that's my opinion. Members? Commissioner Offer, please.
Do you need a motion to do that, or, Mayor, do we just need to?
It's
Okay.
fine with
You
me.
need direction? Is
It's fine with me if you just pull these two today, and I'll come back with the amendment next month then.
Let's
to
do
take
that.
care of
Make a
art.
motion, we pull those two. My other question was, is this an additional vehicle he wants to buy,
Yeah, he
or
sold.
an old or new one, or what?
It would be a newer one. He had an old one that he sold for that $1,600. And along with the $7,500 that he'd already accumulated for that purpose, he can now go buy a $10,000 vehicle.
All right, and then does he have one already in mind that he's got his eye on?
I
so to
don't
speak?
think so.
Okay.
That's why I think probably I'll come back with an amendment to pull a flat
And if-
10,000 out of ARP,
Yeah.
tell him to go find one and buy it with that.
There you go. So you could have a tad bit more if you needed it.
Yeah.
All right, very good. All right, so we're going to pull these two, and the mayor will come back with an amendment using art money for the planning vehicle. Very good. Moving on. Thank you, guys and gal. I won't get in trouble. Next one is county clerk. We're on page 14 as it's written on the top there. She is decreasing her expenses out of her account 52500 of 80,000 and moving it into clerical personnel. She's allowed to do this. I did chat with her briefly last week about this because my concern was she's moving 80,000 into 162, which is a salary wage line without enough money for Social Security and all the cascade lines. But she assured me she has enough in there to cover the amount of this 80,000 that's going to go towards multiple employees, their salary and wages for the rest of the year. So, do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4 and 1 absent. Moving on to the next one, Bradley County Fire and Rescue, Jeff Stewart, $602. He is increasing his revenue, increasing expenses, so it's money coming in. And this is VFIS check 74168. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment? I have a motion from Commissioner Alford. I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4 with 1 absent. And there's the supporting documentation and the check. Bradley, next one is on page 17 as it's written on top. Bradley County Fire and Rescue, $4,373.47. Again, increase in revenue, increase in expense. He's putting it in line 338. Again, this is a VFIS insurance check. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4-0. And there you see the supporting documentation in the check from VFIS. Continuing on, page 21, as it's written on top, Bradley County Fire and Rescue. He's decreasing his expenses out of his account 337, maintenance and repair, moving it over to food supply. Of course, I've got to approve this because I was there. Just kidding. It was my attempt at a joke. I have a motion from Commissioner Slater. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Huh? No comment. We're still. I was getting ready to say we're still trying to figure out who the vendor was. What did they say? It's us. Yeah. That bothered my wife all night. Anyway, I have a motion from Commissioner Alford. No, wait, I'm sorry. Who do I have a motion from? Commissioner Slater. Thank you, Lori. Any further discussion? We've talked enough. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4 with 1 absent. Continue on with Bradley County Fire and Rescue on page 22. Increase in revenue and increase in expenses. Another insurance check coming in. Do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Alford. I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4 with 1 absent. And there you have your supporting documentation and a nice little letter. Moving on to EMS. Increase in revenue, increase in expenses, so it's money coming in, $93,090.65. And she does multiple, what do you call those, account transactions on the same page. Everybody else just does one expense, one revenue per page. So it was just a test to see if we were paying attention. You can see it goes on to page 26. I can tell you, Lori and I did the arithmetic the other day. They do add up on the expenses and the revenue side, which is the main person.
And if I could add,
Please, Mayor.
What we're doing here is we're replacing an ambulance. We've got we're replacing, I guess it's the chassis of that wrecked ambulance, keeping the box, and it's costing us $106,000, which is about half of what a brand new ambulance costs now. So we're taking the insurance check, the sale of an ambulance, and we ended up being about 4,000 short, I believe, from memory, and we're moving a little bit of money out of a couple of lines. Anyway, it's all going into a line to pay for this ambulance that's replacing the one that was wrecked. And that ambulance is on order.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's all paid for. Please don't bring up ARP on this one, because this one's more
I was just
complicated.
getting ready to. Just kidding.
That would have been possible, I guess, in hindsight.
Well,
but,
the attempt is to save as much in the general fund as possible. So.
well, in this case, it's fire fund, but
I'm
it's the
sorry,
same
yeah.
principle. I
I
understand.
thought it was EMS.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
And I noticed in our agenda tonight, we have a vehicle that I think one of your internationals that we're dismissing. Or
There's another one where
is that the one that you've already?
well, we've already sold one. I think we're selling a total of 3, and this $8,800 is one of them, and then you're approving another one.
Very good. So we're on our way of getting the internationals out of our system.
Yeah, not on purpose, but by default and everything. Yes.
Yeah.
If I would ask that you go ahead and do this one like this, just because it's simpler and cleaner, and not have to involve ARP on a partial purchase of this vehicle.
Well, the amount, I don't know if it would cover it. I mean, the 10,000 for the other car, I think can cover just by the interest that we made last month. But this is a lot more.
Yeah, and you've got you've got another ambulance on order with ARP funds
Yes,
too, in
yeah.
addition to this one.
So, do I have a motion to accept the amendment? It's 2 pages on this one because of the way she did it. I have a motion from Commissioner Alford. I have a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4 with 1 absent. There we go. Thank you, Mayor. Moving on to, and there's the VFIS check. And moving on to page 29. Bradley County Sheriff's Office, she's increasing her revenue and increasing revenue again. So why is she increasing revenue twice? That should be expense. On the second one where it says data processing equipment, 14,403. She's got revenue there that will strike revenue. Mayor, that should be expense on there. If you're on page 29, as it's written on top.
What's the question?
That's correct. Just a typo, I think, that she's recognizing revenue. She's increasing her revenue at the top, and that's in 47250, which is right. But then she's increasing revenue in a 709 expense line.
That's like the other one that needs to be expense. You're right.
All right. With that correction, I have a motion to accept the amendment. I have a motion from Commissioner Alford. I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, it passes 4-0 with 1 absent. Moving on, and that was a grant, by the way. It's one that I think we get every year, the JAG or something like that. Bradley County Sheriff's Office on page 31, 83,200, increase in revenue and increase in expenses. So she got it right on this one. In-service training, and this is reimbursement for post in-service training, which I think they also get yearly. I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented. I have a motion from Commissioner Alford here, and a second from Commissioner Slater. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4 with 1 absent. And there's the check from the state of Tennessee. Continuing on, page 33, as it's written, she's decreasing reserves, so she's moving money out, and she's increasing her expenses. And this is in a general fund, but 2 accounts, 3, 4. Okay. Of 5,000. So if she's moving money out of that restricted public fund, that is a reserve account. That's the only thing that money can be used for. Right. So, do I have a motion to accept the amendment as presented? I have a motion from Commissioner Alford, and I have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. 4 with 1 absent.
The rest of them are fee for service.
Rest of them are services rendered. We'll take them up as a package from page 34. Make sure there's no hidden one down there at the bottom that she snuck in. Just kidding. Not really. All right, we'll take those as a package. We'll have a motion to accept the services rendered package from Commissioner Alford. Have a second from Commissioner Mason. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4-0. That concludes all of the budget amendments, unless there's one we didn't get. Then we'll go to our agenda items. If it's okay with you, I'd like to rearrange these just a tad bit. Budget calendar, we can move to the side for a second. These others should be fairly quick, and then we'll get to the budget calendar. Public Water Fund, that is, I'll put that on the agenda. That's mine. As you know, we directed the mayor's office to change the cycle with the HCI. It's now going to be in sync with the trustee's office at the calendar year. So the next time that HCI will grant out, accept applications, grant out, and do all what they just finished up doing, will be January 2025, because we're going to wait the entire calendar year of 2024. But that is for the HCI grant as we know it now, Constable. But that does not mean that the water project that we've earmarked over the years, remember, we put a stop to using this money because we went and used ARP money that the mayor created a budget for. We've concluded that we've used that, and I think all those projects are near to completion. I think we got an update the other day on the expenses, and it came in about right. So now we're back to using HCI, but it's going to stay on the July cycle, the 33,000. So this July 1, we can start accepting water project applications. And that was just an FYI so that you know, don't get the two confused. All right, any questions on that?
So we won't have any additional funds available for water projects,
Okay.
until July.
We won't be able to accept any water projects through the HCI program until July. We can accept applications, but we won't
Be able to fund them until
we won't be able to
July.
award until July in the next budget. All right. And I think there's some in the queue from what I understand as well. So we'll take those up in July. But I just want to make the difference between the two. One's going to go the whole calendar year, and then the other one's going to stay like it is. All right, next thing is the HCI. Speaking of HCI, the HCI Committee has met over the last couple of months, and they have their formal recommendation of how to appropriate an award, and we have to take a look at that. And it is on page, there's a page, but page 3. Sorry, it's down at the bottom. I'm gonna turn my. Hold on a second. There we go. And it is as follows. City of Charleston requested 11,987, and that is what they are getting. Greenway requested 50 for the Field Hour Branch Trail, and they're getting 35,971. The museum is getting requested 11, and they are getting 11. And the Carrying Place requested 25 for construction over there, and they are getting 25. And the Tri-State Exhibition Center requested 44 and getting 35.9. So we need to make a formal recommendation to the full commission on this. And before we do, I just want to thank the HCI Committee for me. I think they met, 4 times, Lori, over the last couple of months, and they went over all the applications. I heard a little bit about it, had good discussions, and it was a case where the request was way out of what the amount we had to grant out. So they had to make some tough decisions. Not everybody who requested was funded. Anyway, so what's the pleasure of the Finance Committee? They go with what they accepted, or changes, or what have you? Commissioner Alford.
I was just looking, and Carrying Place, I know it's a great organization. How much, we gave them a heck of a lot of money. Like, we're gonna give them more. Ideas how much money they.
HCI has, HCI has never funded the carrying place. And so understand the HCI committee operates in a vacuum. They look at each project on a project basis without the other stuff,
Yeah.
if you will. So you might, I think, 100,000, maybe 150,000, something like that.
Yeah, I don't have that chart, Louis, but from memory, it was probably 100,000 originally, and then maybe another 25.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
could be
we
wrong.
awarded with that. Yeah, Caring Place, they received art money through the what was the title of that bucket? The affordable housing. Thank you.
Affordable housing.
And then just recently, the opioid program that they're going to have, and yeah, we did have, and they were grateful. She called me. I think that's the only two that I remember. And they're
If
like,
that's right, it'd be 150.
yeah, but from totally different programs. I mean,
Yeah,
art
different.
money for
Well, I
the-
understand it's two different programs, but still money.
you got me there. I got it. So
So is the completion of their building predicated on this $25,000? And what would happen if they were not awarded this $25,000? Would they still be able to complete the construction on their new facility?
any other?
Because I believe they
sorry.
also receive funding from the United Way's HCI money.
That would cause a problem, I think.
Trying to-
Same calendar year, it certainly would.
Yeah, we were denied before because that. Well, it's not so much a deny; it's a policy thing.
Yeah, and so United Way, they have applied. United Way hasn't made their decision yet. I think that's sometime later in February, but they have applied. I don't believe it's for construction, facility constructions, but they have applied for United Way funding.
So I think we need to just take a look at that, Lori, and now then the question becomes: do we approve the others and just put a pause on this one, or do we wait until we get an answer and approve the whole thing as one? Whatever you guys want to do. Commissioner Alford, Commissioner Slater, Commissioner Mason,
I don't have a preference either way. I mean,
Commissioner Mason,
I'm fine with, I mean, it doesn't matter to me.
to approve the others so they can get started on their projects, and then we'll ask Lori to look into your concern or the concern. Is that Commissioner Alford? Is that okay with you?
When will these go out? Monies, if we pass it, when?
It's the HCI program is a reimbursement program. So, if you all recommend it to the full commission, it will be, I'm assuming, presented by Chairman Blake tonight to
Yes.
the full commission. And if approved, they will receive award letters this week, letting them know how much their projects were funded. Then the onus is on them to go out and complete their project, have it inspected. HCI committee does an on-site visit to make certain that everything they said they were going to do in the grant has been fulfilled. And then once we're satisfied, then we sign off to release the funds. So it will be a while. We'll just go ahead and allocate. We'll just get the money tied up, basically.
I'd like to have more explanation on two things, the Greenway Fill Our Branch Trail and Hearing Place both.
Lori, you were in all those meetings. Do you recall the Phil Hour conversation? I believe it's to the complete a project. Well, they finished up the project over on Candy's Lane, I believe, right? Or they're
Well,
near.
the phase one of
Yeah.
that project they completed, and Phil Our Branch is just another area that needs attention. And they actually requested, as you can see on page 3, more than they accepted. And their thought is they will pave as far as they can go with the funds that are allocated, if they are, by HCI.
And fill our branches.
It's just right over here, kind of up across from the Pie Center and, Lee University.
It's not out Bill Iron Lane that way.
Well, it is kind of out that way. If you will, picture Pie Center, looking across the street to the parking lot, and it runs back there. I believe so.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
right, that little parking lot adjacent to Jenkins and
And it'll go towards, it'll be somewhere between there and Jeff Morlock's house.
yeah, they're heading up towards Bowen
That's
Hills.
the area.
So we got to approve this.
Is the city putting in anything to this?
They're doing the permitting and
Design.
there's the design
They
and
do the work,
They do the
yeah.
but we reimburse for some of that work.
Mayor?
I'll just say this way, another way of looking at it, I would rather them get HCI funds as request us for it. We do a annual donation, don't get me wrong, but that's a drop in the bucket to the phases as they do them, the cost. And so this is a way they're getting some other funding. Is it helping the city possibly, but they could come back and ask us for it too, and I'd rather just it be done with HCI money.
Don't
It
disagree.
meets the qualification probably better than anything,
It
health,
does.
welfare, and quality of
Right.
life. But, all right, so if I understand you correct, you got what you need from Phil Our Branch. So we will, I'll put it on the agenda tonight, Lori, for the is it 4? 1, 2, 3? Yeah. But with respect to the carrying place, we'll get some clarifications on the HCI from the United Way.
Are you gonna vote?
Mm-hmm. But I was just making sure you got what you needed because you were writing
I
so
did,
fast.
Yes.
All right. So that will be our recommendation to the full commission. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Passes 4-0. All right, going back to our agenda.
Mr.
Chairman.
Chairman, could we-
Yeah, I'm sorry. My
We're gonna
bad.
come back later with some definitions and maybe do that 25,000 or less on the carrying place.
Right now, we're not making any form of recommendation. We're going to get. We need to find out if they were funded in the same calendar year through HCI United Way. Please. Oh, I apologize. I was Mach 2 with my hair on fire. Yeah. Do I have a motion from Commissioner Slater? I have a second from Commissioner Mason. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4 with 1 absent. I was just making sure you're paying attention. You passed. Here we go. Going back to the agenda, that takes care of the water and HCI mid-year updates. Every year, you may remember, Lori and I get together and look at how we're doing at the halfway point in our budget year, especially on the salary lines. In theory, and I emphasize the word theory, and Susan can probably attest to this, we should be, they're monthly payroll, but we're biweekly. We should be at around 49, 50, 51%, give or take a point here and there. And I take a look at it. Now, there are some exceptions, and Lori did a good job of getting all the numbers here for you to look at. For example, in juvenile, she pays out of one account the first part of the year and out of the second account the latter part of the year. So obviously she's going to use that up quicker, but then she's got another account she pays out of. Not my preferred method, but it's their budget. So that gives you an idea right there. Lori, as always, thank you for putting this together and the time it took you to get those numbers into a nice, readable document. But I just want the finance community to get a mid-year checkup on the numbers. Renee's not here. I did have a question. Mayor, if you can take this back or however, there was one that came up that out of your department, account 53900, and it's our favorite director. Line 513 workers comp, and there's got to be something to this.
Workers' comp has
It's
got,
it's the usage is 1,000%, not just 100. I mean, like 10 times over what. Now the amount of money isn't that much, so the percentage makes it look horrible, but the amount of money isn't. But there's a concern that on that is there. There's probably Renee. I mean, not that you don't know, but
it's a thing for Renee to fix. There is a workers' comp issue, mistake, whatever, throughout the budget. That one just happens to be more than most of them, but most all of them are out of whack somewhat. And I don't have an answer for you yet, but we're aware of it.
So overall, though, just workers' comp is an expense through the county wide. Are we finding that our workers, because workers' comp is an insurance, right? I mean,
Sort of, yeah.
yeah. I mean, did they go up quite a bit on us, or
No, they didn't,
because of usage, or?
other than that the audit's showing additional, but I don't have an explanation yet for you, but again, we know about it.
All right, so we'll put that down as, and we'll get an answer from Renee next time. Anyway, other than that, that's what I wanted to do, is give you guys a report at mid-year through our budget.
I have a question.
Please, Commissioner Slater.
Agriculture Extension Office, 57,100, line 189. 8,397% over. On page,
Another, not having the budget in front of me, I think there's two lines that's supposed to be there. One of them's paid by state, one's not, or UT. Either way, that one's messed up also.
okay.
So corrective action is in place, or any other on that? Commissioner Offer, please.
Yeah, I was looking at planning, number 4, page 4, down there, vehicles and equipment insurance, up 137%. Is that this new vehicle or older vehicle?
Some of the insurance lines are probably, and I don't want to say for sure, probably justified because of a different vehicle being involved, and they'll have to correct that before the end of the year. The workers' comp and that salary line that Commissioner Slater mentioned are different stories.
They're all
But
messed up.
Yeah. The main
those,
thing I was looking for, the 1 and 200 lines, salaries, is if they went too far, my question is, how are you going to get to June 30th if you've used up your line?
which one were you talking about?
No, I was explaining why what this report does for me. But.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another one while I'm on it. Elections, postal. Last year I picked it up in mine. I've told them to keep paying it over here. I will end up taking care of it at the end of the year, but I want to track it to know what their actual is for an election. Does that make sense?
It does. I know what you're.
Last year you didn't see the overage when it came budget time and they asked for more money. I didn't know what the actual needed to be, so I pulled one out of the air. So this year we're tracking it. So that one's done kind of on purpose, that we'll take care of.
Yeah.
Most of the others are going to be things that are on that department to fix before the end of the year, except for the two I mentioned.
Yeah, the true ups will handle most of the outside of that, but.
But we asked them to do it before the true ups, really. But the workers' comp and the salary and the UT one, I can't fix, and it's got a lot more detailed issues with them. So. But they'll be taken care of.
All right. Any other questions or concerns on that? Thank you, Lori. And we'll go back up here to the budget calendar. We have the budget calendar right here. All right, so we have to adopt a budget calendar. I think the state required us to do that because of the financial act we're in, or the public act we're in, or something like that. It's been a couple of years now, and it's worked out. Mayor, for what I understand, again, apologize for not being here at the last finance, but I did catch that you asked for the full commission to vote the resolutions that sets the tax rate and appropriates the funding for the general fund and the fire fund and nonprofits that Friday before. Traditionally, we've been doing it the Monday according to our full commission calendar.
What I'm asking is, I've always been fearful of whether I can meet some of these deadlines, but with your approval of the calendar, we're going to try to. We're moving up right at the end of June, 2 or 3 things. The end result to you all is you will cancel your meeting the week of the 4th, which has always been an issue with some commissioners. So you won't have a meeting the week of the 4th, but you'll have one on Friday before that, and that way we'll meet that infamous state deadline of June the 30th, finally, which has always been a goal, but I think we can do it this year by it's just a 2-day move up. So that's what really changes from you. It changes my dates to publish in the paper and all those things, but if you agree to come back in on Friday at noon with a special meeting and then cancel the one on Monday, no additional meeting on your behalf, and we will have met that deadline.
But
State
we've
has
never,
a deadline of June the 30th, and we very rarely ever meet it.
it is fair to say that we've never gotten in trouble or anything.
You don't
for-
get in trouble. It's just
'cause
something that they acknowledge you didn't do. Would you please do it next year type
Yeah,
thing?
well.
And so we can do it this time with this minor change.
Now, my question to you is there some other things, is there an opportunity to change some other things on here? Because I've asked for your proposal, more time on your proposal versus the day that we go to the Thursday meeting to review your proposal. Normally, what has happened is you give your proposal that Monday night of that week, and then we meet on Thursday. Would you be agreeable to moving your proposal deadline to Friday and then still do your proposal, and then we chat with you about it that Monday night? But that gives, I'm not to be selfish on it, but that gives me the weekend to go over your proposal instead of, because by the time we get it on that Monday night, 7:00, that day is pretty much gone. Gives me Tuesday and Wednesday. If you would have your proposal to Lori, she could distribute to all 14 commissioners that Friday before, then we would have the weekend to review and then be prepared to ask you any questions that Monday night when you normally go over your proposal. Just, what do you think?
I don't know. I can try. Then the end result is, if I'm successful, then Monday I get questions about a budget I've not even had the opportunity to present yet. Tonight you're going to hear the governor's budget, but they're not going to ask him questions about it. He's going to do the proposal.
But I'm not trying to argue with you, but that night when you do your proposal, you let us ask questions.
Yeah, but realistically, you don't have any yet because you hadn't seen it.
And that's what my point is, that if we had it on Friday to study it, we would have better questions for you Monday night.
Again, I can try.
All right.
But you say Thursday, you're actually meeting Thursday and Friday, so you've got to Friday. That's 4 days to go over.
Mayor, it's Thursday. No, God, don't we
Well,
meet on Thursday? Of that, I know you don't like this term, but it's called the Mega Day or whatever. How about this? How
I
about
said
that?
I can try. I will try.
So a couple of years ago, we allowed roads to submit their budget the same as schools, and we tried, but then it caused more, I wouldn't call problems, but we decided that we tried and we needed to go back to them submitting their budget with everybody else schools still, obviously for obvious reasons. So I appreciate if you would give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, then we'll go back to the way it is right now. But I couldn't let this opportunity go by without at least asking you.
Okay.
Thank you. So that weekend, I know what I'm going to be doing.
So you approve the calendar with the caveat that the Monday 6/3 proposal will.
You're still going to do your proposal to the full commission. All that I'm asking is on that Friday before, is it an electronic format? I assume you have it in electronic format or printed, whatever. Give it to Lori, and she'll get it to all 14 commissioners by close of business that day. That's all I'm asking.
And please understand, that last Monday, I promise you, there are last-minute changes being made
I know,
usually.
I
That's
know.
what makes me so leery. It's nothing other than it's,
But
yeah.
if there are any changes, then by Monday, say from Friday to Monday, I had to make a change here. But for the most part, you don't change that much, I don't think, you said. Especially on the expense side.
So you write on there, on the Monday, the 6/3, Mayor presents budget proposal to full commission, go up to Friday, the 31st, and you're gonna say, you're gonna meet that day at noon, and the mayor will have budget proposal to your
Lori. But
assistant.
we're not gonna talk about the budget proposal that day. We're just gonna handle your final amendments.
I'll have the proposal to your assistant by Friday evening.
Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Slater. I'm looking straight at the mayor because I was reading his vibes.
So could we move the Thursday meeting to Friday?
This is a full commission because he presents to the full commission.
How about the mega meeting?
What Thursday meeting?
Oh, you don't.
Don't use that term, Adam.
I didn't.
What
I just
Thursday
kidding.
meeting are you talking about moving to Friday?
What day is that, Lori? That's the true up day, right? Right.
See, the mega year, you met both of those days.
And I was
That's why I'm saying you could do it on Friday and get yourself that extra day instead of pushing me up to Friday. But
I'm trying to help you out, Mayor.
I understand. I just didn't follow you at first. But it don't matter. Worst case scenario is I don't have it Friday, but I will try.
All right. And then I think we changed last year to the last finance before amendments on that Friday. So, yeah, they help out instead of doing it on Monday. So, Lori, if you'll make those corrections, and Chairman Cry, I believe by correct me if I'm wrong, Mayor, with changing the full commission voting session to 6:28, that's a full commission thing. I guess inherent in voting in this budget calendar, that gets done anyway. But he calls full commission meetings. Is it? Am I right or wrong, Mayor, in that voting in this budget calendar, if it approves, inherent in the vote is that we're going to meet Friday and cancel the Monday? But that's a chairman thing, I think. I'm asking.
That's fine with me. If I'm the chairman making the decision, and which apparently I am, Lori, would you please make that change?
All right, so
We'll do that right now. And the other thing that I'm kind of going to pick up here on Cindy's wagon on this one, in helping the mayor. This budget calendar, I've been a stickler for violating or not complying with state law or statutes.
this does it. This calendar, I think, gives.
But I guess please allow me to finish. I'm concerned that we've got 6 months on this budget. If we can't get our act together in 6 months and comply with the state statute on June the 30th, we've got a problem. That's always been from the perspective that I come. Somewhere there's some slack that can be tightened up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but this will be the first time that we actually, when we pass on that Friday, and we'll have the three resolutions. Yeah, three resolutions passed, the tax rate set before the end of the budget year. There's an automatic continued resolution now, but we won't even have to bother with that. July 1, we're in the 24-25 budget. This will be the first time that I remember that we've done that. So
Yeah, the only thing that was really in our way wasn't, it's really 3 months because we don't even get the request till March, but 3 months is a cram time. But the only thing that really kept us from doing what the state wants us to do is changing that meeting. See, we were gonna be meeting July the 1st and not meeting the state's deadline, or by making that change, canceling July 1st and meeting the 28th. So it's really just a change of your meetings, those two meetings
Yeah.
that will,
And it, not particularly this year, but if we're consistent with it, and this is the new quote unquote norm, the years that July 4th falls on that Monday or that Tuesday is problematic because we all got places to go and people to see.
right.
And
So it gets us out of that week, you're right.
so if we go ahead and get our work done on that Friday, then we can enjoy the weekend and all that, and don't have to come back until what the following Monday, July 8th, 9th, or whatever that following Monday is. So from that point of view, you give us a holiday weekend or a holiday back on the years where I think it was like 2 years ago, where that was. Yeah, and Commissioner Thompson was like, "I got things to do." All right, so that's the budget calendar for the 23-24. Commissioner Slater, please. You guys make a motion of it. I got confidence in him. He's
Well,
pretty good.
yeah, agree to give me a fallback. If I can't get it that Friday to you at 5
Then
o'clock,
we'll move it to
then
Friday.
you'll move to Friday and give you that extra day, but
Right.
one or the other will happen. Does that make sense?
So we'll put a big if then else statement in there.
Yeah, I don't mind trying, but that is a good fallback in case. We leave it like it is, and then he can change that one finance meeting on Friday the 8th if he needs to, if I can't meet it. Right now, all you're doing is adding to Monday 6/3, you're gonna say,
Well,
proposal will go to Lori on 5/31
right,
at
but
5
that's going to
o'clock.
be in the budget calendar, and you'll let us know if that's not going to happen, and then the automatic move to
Okay.
Friday will happen.
Yeah, all you'll
The
be doing is
decisions will
moving.
be pre-made. How's that?
That's fine with me.
Thank you, Commissioner Slater. Anything, so that's the budget calendar for 24-25. Mayor, the other thing I was real quick with respects to the new budget, direction from the Finance Committee on your proposal. Here we are, I guess, February, you're gonna have the departments come in, what, you need a vote? Oh, all those in favor of the new budget calendar? I have a motion from Commissioner Slater to approve the budget calendar as we discussed, and I have a second from Commissioner, as we ear or something. Commissioner Alford. Any further discussion? Oh, they co-sponsor this, so we got. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. With enthusiasm. 4 yes and 1 absent. Mayor, what I was asking you is, normally you ask for direction from the finance and you probably chat with other members of the commission with respects to what we're hoping for in the next budget. Is that in the March? Do I need to put that on the agenda for the March or April?
Your priorities, so to
Yeah,
speak.
kind of.
Sometime before right after the hearings is when I would usually ask for it. Where's the hearings at? Budget hearings, April the 11th, so sometime latter part of April.
All right, so the May. All right. All right. I think I set a record today. Only 1 hour. Any further open floor? I'm sorry, Commissioner. Not. Ooh, just gave you a promotion, huh? Adam, please.
Last week, you and I talked about the television screens, and you mentioned
Yeah.
bringing that up today.
Yeah. Do you have what you need on that?
I think,
So
I think you probably need to make
yeah.
a recommendation.
So Commissioner Alford, you'd asked for an additional monitor, and just to take advantage of what's going on with that, we're going to also replace this one with. They sent a proposal over, and they're ready to go. Adam's looking for direction, right? On that. Did you send it? I forget. Did you send that to everybody or just? So, anyway, we're ready to go on that if you are.
Oh, yeah, I've been ready. I just was.
You've
gonna
been
ask
ready.
Kind of
My
where we're
bad.
at it. I was gonna ask the question, where are we on it right now?
We're ready for you to vote yay.
Well, do we have a finance thing or?
Adam, can you give us a little more detail, please, on time and money?
Let me bring up the
Yep.
proposal. I don't, it's gonna take me a minute to find it.
While he's doing that, I'm going to pass out, as a reminder to you all, the instructions that we give every department.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I didn't have any changes. I mean, we've asked for hire date and some other things.
I think we've got everything in there now finally, but
But
I put an asterisk by your one-time capital requests. I put an asterisk by all increases need to be itemized and prioritized. Till this day, not everybody does that. That's two biggies. They're already on there and they've been on there for years, but when somebody's asking for 3 extra things in the budget, we want them prioritized because odds are I can't find the funding for all 3, so which one do you want me to pick? And what I've done in the past, if they can't take the time to prioritize it, I'll take the least expensive and go with it, or neither, or none of the above. But I just want you to know we're emphasizing that. We have been for a long time. And then on the capital lines, the 700 lines, you know, people keep talking about we ought to be zero-based budgeting. We are on the lines that we can be. In government, we can't be with salaries and so forth, not realistically. But the 700 lines, they're supposed to start with 0 and justify every dollar in there. Sometimes they'll put, well, that's what it was last year. Well, that's not what it will be this year. It's 0 if you don't justify it.
yeah.
So I'm giving you all a heads up. If some of those get zeroed, and they may very well get zeroed, it's in the instructions.
And then they show up on appeal day.
And you need to remember it. They
will.
didn't take time to prioritize, or they didn't take time to justify, so coming to appeals ain't gonna do you a whole lot of good.
I learned my lesson.
That's what I would hope your attitude is, so.
While he's looking at that, Susan, what is the calendar for you guys? I mean, I know your piece on ours is just your budget hearing on that one day, but the school board, I think, starts your process when you do your proposal with Dr. Cash in what, end of March, April? The 9th of the 7th of April of May. Okay. So just a note, the school board will vote on their part of the budget on May 7th, and they'll, but, all right. A work session prior to that. I'm just saying that so they can hear you. All right. Thank you.
And then after that 7th meeting is they send them to us by the 10th, and you will get them. And then on Monday, they're here to answer questions.
Yeah, very good. All right, Adam, what you got?
The proposal to replace and install 2 75-inch screens is $9,631.23.
All right.
It doesn't
So that's
include-
way under the 25,000.
It
So
doesn't include any computer upgrades if you wanted to, which I would suggest based on the age of that Mac Mini that you upgrade to either a newer Mac Mini or a
yeah, include that in there. We need to 86 that Mac Mini.
I would purchase that separately from this proposal.
Yeah, you don't need it at the time of installation, though. Yeah, but keep that in mind that we want to replace the Mac Mini, and we want to be consistent with the computers on both ones. Now they'll be able to show simultaneously what is on the screen, right? I mean, there's going to be some new functionality. So in other words, right now, typically Lori has a keyboard, and she's not going to have 2 keyboards, one for this monitor, one for this.
Both screens will mirror each other.
They'll be a mirror of each other. Yeah. Handshake. Yeah. Commissioner Alford.
Doesn't specify how quickly, but if you give me the green light, I can ask that and we can move forward.
So that sounds like a motion from you. All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Alford to appropriate the funds for the new monitors in the commission room. Any, second from Commissioner Mason? Any, Commissioner. But do you have an estimate of how much those cost?
$600
$600 a piece,
for a brand new one.
so an extra $1,200. So
Just
include.
one. You just need one.
You only need one. You don't have. You
just
don't need
one.
one for both monitors. Oh, only 600. So Laura, if you'll include that in Commissioner Alford's motion, I'd appreciate it. And Commissioner Mason, are you okay with that inclusion? Very good. Commissioner Slater, that was your question. All right.
And maybe add one more, hang on. 150 for the Apple TV device. You probably should upgrade that too. That's an older one as well. You only need one of each.
And $150 for the Apple TV device. Well, include that in Commissioner Alford's motion. Commissioner Mason's agreeable. Very good. Anything else? You need some pencils or something. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Passes 4-0. You and I'm getting tired. All right, that's it. Going back to our agenda. Does anybody in the community audience would like to be recognized at this time? Seeing none.
I'd like to recognize Susan. I need to ask her a question.
Ms. Welker, if you would please. Commissioner.
Do we have any update on the EMS Science Wing project grant or whatever? The Science Wing, yeah, the grant that y'all are trying to get. Do we have any updates on that as to?
We have not heard anything. I have actually been out sick for a week, but before I got sick, I did check on it and was told by the lady at our district that actually filed for the grant that there has been no updates. So I even thought about asking, is there anything is there any tips you can give us on getting that hurried along? Like, or it's just a long process. Yes. I mean, I know we expected to hear something in the fall, but we have not heard any.
It's federal grants, and they're not as black and white as normal grants. If I were you, you ought to, not me. And for obvious reasons, somebody ought to ask Troy to talk to the people involved and see if he can get you a follow-up answer.
Okay.
I asked him about it once, and that hadn't happened, so I think that's what you ought to do, probably.
I did follow up on that, but I will follow up again.
Yeah, but you just don't get black and white answers from when they're federal grants like that, like the grants we're used to. They take forever, but at least you know a drop dead date usually. These, they don't.
Speaking of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we, would it be advisable then if we get some of our senators involved? Have we tried going up the ladder all the way to Washington?
I probably not the best one to answer that. I can pass that information along. I'm actually meeting with Dr. Cash after this meeting. I can pass that along to her. I've not been in the mix of that, to be honest.
I think it'd be a worth of contact, our local federal senators. Not necessarily the state, but the federal. Who is it, Flashman?
He's one of them, yeah.
One of them? Who's the other one?
Well, our two senators, Marsha Blackburn and...
I think it'd be worth a letter or something to one of those two people, or a phone call from someone.
So here's the question I'd like to ask, Mayor. I think we've been at this with the science wing and going down this route, which is the right route to go because it's, federal money and then our portion of it, kind of like we did for the fire halls and stuff like that. But at some point in time, if here we are at 2032 and we still haven't heard from them, I mean, do we just take it upon ourselves and, or will it always be we're just waiting on the federal? Or have we even talked about that?
Well, you're accumulating money, so that's one fallback.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be that long though, but
Okay, well, I was just wondering if
it's not going to be like the veterans home, but yet the veterans home is very similar. Every year, it was subject to annual appropriations. Adam probably talked to Troy. I don't know if this is one of those subject to appropriations or if this is a set aside amount of money just waiting on the bureaucrats to approve. I don't know which it is. It's one or the other. Troy probably knows that answer, Adam, and if it's the right bucket, then following up with a legislator in Washington would be a help. It helped with the veterans home, but it still took 10 years.
it did.
This one, the ones we've done before didn't take near that long. It's like all of a sudden they will approve something, but you've been waiting however long.
Mhm.
I just don't know which. That's been a while since this one was applied for, so I don't remember which one it is. But we'll find out more about it, and maybe by next month at least know which direction we're going.
It's the same quote unquote grant that he's asking for to move over his office over to Peerless Road,
See,
right?
his is one that you would at some point be asking legislators to get involved in. I think this other grant is set aside money, but I could be wrong.
All right. Anything else? Oh, I'm sorry. Chairman Cry, please.
Susan, I have the contact for both senators, representatives, and our representative. If you'd like to, after your meeting with Dr. Cash, I'd be glad to give them.
Absolutely, thank you.
If get the answer from Troy of which way it is in this one, because I think it's different than his grant. And once you know that, then if it's the one to contact the legislators, go ahead. It probably means more than anything coming from the director of schools anyway, if that's appropriate in that case.
All right. That concludes communication from the audience and other business. Our next meeting is March 4th, 2024 at 11:30 here. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.